Professional monologue. Question one. What are your reflections about the research process? Strengths, limitations, what went well, and what could be improved? I think looking at our poster, you can see that we focused our attention on one issue in a lot of detail and wanted to give some insight as to if and what the issues were surrounding female engagement in secondary school physical education. We wanted to do this because we thought if we'd picked multiple topics or we did it broadly, on say both genders as opposed to one about engagement, the results would not be as precise as we'd want. We collectively knew a few PE teachers that would be able to help us with our study, so then we focused our research on getting the results from them. We use surveys because they're quite easy to access and they don't take long to complete. And we aimed for about 10 responses, but only 7 people got back to us, so we only had a success rate of about 70%. I think using PE teachers is relevant to this because we want to become PE teachers and they have more knowledge than us and a better understanding of what happens in a classroom environment. So that's why we chose to do our research with those. We use mixed methods, so it allowed us to quantify some of our data in terms of quantitative data, and then we used qualitative questions as well, so our participants could expand on their answers. Because some of the questions we asked, you couldn't really give a yes or no or agree with statements. You have to give your own sort of perspective to things. We also had quite a small sample size, so that meant the representativity of the data is quite low. So we would have to include more people in the study to make it more representative of everybody else, as well as give more validity to the study. I think if we'd used semi-structured interviews, we could have got a more detailed response out of our participants. Whereas in some of the boxes they used, they could only say a couple of words, like maybe say one or two sentences about what their opinions were. But I think semi-structured interviews would allow us to us as the researcher take the interview down a path we see it fit. Moving on to the second question, what are my reflections on work and group working cohesively? Time management, role allocation, and reliability. I think me and Jake work very well together because we're pretty good friends and we've built up a good relationship, especially when it comes to assignments in the past 2 years. And I think if you're working with somebody you get on with and trust, then it's a lot easier to work cohesively. We regularly speak on WhatsApp about what we were doing in regards to the assignments, not just this project, but other assignments we've had in the past. It's been like, so what have you done for this? You've done that. Well, I've done this. What do you think we should do for this, etc. So that gave us that natural sort of relationship. So that's why I decided to work with him. We gave ourselves a lot of time to do this assignment. I think we started it in late January, early February, and then we could sort of pick and choose. Like, I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do the introduction, blah blah blah. I'll be doing the interview. I'll be doing the research questions. You do the literature review. Because I think with Jake, he's better at understanding research than me, so that's why we allocated him to do that and me to do some of the other aspects. Um, Also, like we would look over each other's work, doing punctuation, grammar, etc. Looking at looking at the sources, making sure that they're reliable. Um, so yeah, we've developed trust in one another, and this led to us spreading the workload out amongst ourselves, and I was pretty comfortable working with him. We both have similar outcomes and goals from this course. So I want to be a teacher, and I think he wants to be a teacher. So I think working together, we bring out the best in each other. But yeah, um, I think because we spread the assignment out over about 2 or 3 months, it's like we could pick a different topic and a different theme each week. So we gave ourselves plenty of time to tackle each aspect of the assignment. But I think in terms of time management, we maybe could have done better with when we were recording our poster, like our audio over the top, because we sort of panicked as to what we were doing, what we were going to say, etc. Because I know for one of his, he had an issue with his fan. So I think recording, he probably should have taken more time in preparing like what we what say like making sure he's in a quiet background. I think same for myself because like you could hear like stuff in the background like on the courtyard of my accommodation, which is not great. Part two, discuss what you've learned over the three strands in regards to professional development. What academic and research skills have you learned in this module? I found this really interesting this year because at the start of the year we spoke about research jigsaw, whereas where you pick a topic, develop your research questioning, literature review, etc. Um, this was something that I tend to struggle with last year, as I wasn't very good at doing literature reviews and I didn't know how to approach it. So I feel like this method has help it break it down into more like I think it's easier to digest when it's broken down into smaller like aspects. It's allowed me to understand how to interpret data and form my own questions and then say how I go about things in a given context. Learning about research methodologies has helped me learn about myself and what path that I would take when conducting research. Um, what is it? For example, like I've learned that to do things from an interpretivist perspective is best suited to me through an epistemology lens. So it's like I care about people's feelings and how, when I'm researching things like how how people feel about stuff and what actions have made them feel that way. So like through the epistemology lens, it's more like how we claim to know something through the power of studying knowledge. Um, my ontological view surrounds relativism and that everyone has their own perception of reality. Um, yeah, so like it's a combination of what I believe and how I would justify it. I think keeping my work concise has been a skill that I've learned throughout this course. As in the past on assignments, I have a tendency of just waffling on about the same points. Like feedback from examples is, Jake, already made this point. This is a waste of words in a sense. Um, and I think, yeah, I think that keeping my work concise, not waffling on, has been a skill that I've learned as well as like Andy spoke about going an inch wide and a mile deep in a topic, which I think that's something that I've done on this assignment because like we focus specifically on female engagement, not just like engagement as a topic or purely females. So it allowed us to look at look at if there was a problem, what the problems are, and maybe draw conclusions on what we can change and how we can try and combat this problem. I think I've also developed my critical thinking skills, as I feel like nowadays, in comparison to last year, now I can look at a piece of information and conceptualize what's put in front of me into the given context. Like, for example, if if somebody was to put a task in front of me, like and said, these are the this is the task, how do you solve it? I'll be able to break it down into like different stages. I go, first we do this, then we do this. I think in terms of the assignment, drawing back from when we spoke about the research jigsaw, like writing down how to do like a literature review, like or no, how to tackle a problem, like it's do the question, then do the names, then do the literature review. Um, Choose a broad topic, develop research questions and aims, review the literature, justify the gaps and limitations, develop research design, undertake data collection, etc. I feel like that has helped me a lot this year. And also about informed consent, because I've learned that that is very important, and protecting identity is important in research, as if you were to give people's names, it might sort of dictate the results. And say somebody wanted to say something in regards to a topic, they knew there was no confidentiality, then they might sort of tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. And I think that's important in research because there'd be no point undertaking the topic in hand if you weren't trying to get the intended results. Um, Going on to question four. With reference to the poster, can you explain what you've learned across the course and how you can think synoptically? Regards to the poster, we had to interpret our results in reference to the three strands and explain how each response linked with it. Like yeah, this has allowed for me to see what aspect is applicable in what situation. For example, when we looked at the first question, common factors leading to girls' positive engagement, I linked in the three strands, and because one of the answers was associated with positive learning environment, it linked with the TL2211 subject of Bourdieu's idea of habitus, where it sees social agency schools as social agencies and influencing affecting the replication of social educational inequality and cultural reproduction. That comes under like social capital and cultural capital as well, because it's like people in PE lessons like tend to stick with their friends and don't really go outside the comfort zones that often. So this could be like people in different cultural backgrounds. It could be gender associated, or like sporty lads sit together, whereas like maybe quiet lads don't, and don't have as much, and therefore there's going to be different inequalities in the lesson. And our role as a teacher is to try and make sure everything runs cohesively and everyone feels comfortable and safe. In the aspect of the healthy lifestyles module, I know that health is the state of physical, social, and mental well-being whilst being free from sickness. So you could argue that mental health, you want everybody to feel comfortable, and like getting on cohesively. Well, that ties in with the social. Like you don't want anyone to feel left out, and that you've got to make sure that you are fulfilling the needs of every single person in the lesson. And then in terms of the physical, we want we want children to be we want pupils to be physically active, healthy, etc. And when you link, I think this links in. Oh yeah, what? Sorry. In the PE module, we learn that if a child is motivated and feels safe, then they're more likely to engage with the work and therefore make more friends, have a more positive outlook in terms of physical education, and even enhance their social life. Because in physical education, there are a lot of barriers to overcome. And I think as teachers, we can if we can work together and try and make the kids feel safe and secure, then at the end of the day, they'll enjoy the subject more and may enjoy school more. And it could set them up for a lifetime of health, physical activity, etc. Next question, question five. What are your emerging professional development needs? Well, once I finish my third year of study, I'm thinking about doing a PGCE. Um, I feel like my subject knowledge is a strong area because I live my life as quite fitness orientated. So whether that's like being physically active, playing numerous sports such as football, running, and like I watch my nutrition, like I watch my calorie intake. I've got a fitness watch that tells me like how many calories I burn in a day, how many steps I do. I regularly track my basal metabolic weight rate. So I feel like in terms of like fitness orientated knowledge, like I feel that's a strong point. And I think I'm quite an empathetic individual. Like I'm like this with my friends, my parents, everybody else around me. So I feel like this will translate well into being a physical education teacher, as I feel like I can empathise with children and I want to be the best teacher I can be. I feel like my punctuality is something that can be improved on. As last year, I used to work on Mondays straight after lectures, and then I wouldn't finish till 10:30. So by the time I'd settle for bed, it would be midnight, and then I'd get up the following day. I wouldn't be able to make the 9 o'clock bus, the 7:30 bus to get to uni for 9. So I know that I used to miss some lectures due to work commitments, but I feel like I've improved that this year, and going forward, I need to prioritize my education. Um, I feel that I feel like I need to manage my free time better as well, as I do a lot of sports and have a pretty decent social life. But me at 24 and the career I want to go in, I know that I need to focus more on my studies. Like, for example, I've bought a lot of PE teaching books, but I've not really got round to reading them yet. So I think reading them would benefit me more than doing other stuff in my free time. Um, Although I'm confident in teaching, I've yet to go on placement, so I can't really judge whether I'd be good at teaching like a class of 11 to 16-year-olds. I feel that I need to get, I also feel that I need to get used to dealing with pupils with special educational needs, as my brother Ben has cerebral palsy and a few other disabilities. And I'm really only familiar with his disabilities and what works best with him in terms of physical activity. Like we go to the gym together, I'll PT him a bit, teach him about health, fitness, nutrition, but hopefully these skills can translate well into becoming a physical education teacher. Question 6. How are you going to build on experiences from this year, moving forward into third year? What action planning have you taken to achieve your goals? I feel like getting feedback off my peers and tutors will continue and continuing to learn about who I am as an individual and what sort of teacher I want to be will help me go far. I think going into my final year, I want to attend every single lecture and continue to learn what what it takes to be a good physical education teacher. And from that, I can work on my weaknesses and develop into a better person. I've been monitoring this through the grades I get in my assignments and reflecting back and be reflecting and reflecting on the feedback I get from tutors. I want to be able to confidently teach a class of 30 by the end of this course and develop my confidence with public speaking, as I know that is something I need to improve, as sometimes I get nervous when speaking, like for example now in front of a camera. I also want to perform to the best of my abilities and analyse my progress as the months go on and make sure that I am improving not only as a person but as a physical education teacher and as a role model for young pupils. Thank you for your time.